The purpose of this video is to share some key information and top tips that will allow you to successfully use Photoshop in your classroom. Even teachers with little or no experience of Photoshop will be able to deliver this successfully. So in the video we're going to look at why and how we can use good quality images, look at the importance of that. We're going to encourage you to show examples of what is possible and how to demonstrate things. Really important to encourage creativity and about keeping things simple to start with. First tip I'm going to give you when you're working with images and young people is to make sure you're working with quality images. So either take your own photographs or get online, which is always quite easy and a good place to start. And I'm doing a search for images by clicking on images, and all these images of walls are going to come up. However, I'm going to just show you a little tip which will serve you well forever, which is to click on Advanced Search. And now I have a little bit more control. I'm going to go for large images so that it doesn't pixelate or distort when I start making my images. I'm also just going to make sure that the usage rights are free to use, share and modify. So I'm going to click on that, and that will allow me to ensure that my images are usable. I'll click on the image and you'll see that the number at the bottom is quite high, and therefore I can start to use that image by saving it and opening it in Photoshop. So another good tip is to share folders of work so students can see what they're expected to do. They're also not daunted by the professional aspect of some photoshopping. In this folder here, for example, I have a series of images that mean if a student joins the class late or halfway through the program, they can catch up quickly. They're not left right at the beginning. I have some images that I can get them to use. But there they go. They can grab some of these images and learn the basics. I also will make sure that I use high quality examples as well to sort of set a precedent, as well as to push them along, but also to enjoy. Finally, it's quite good to show them various stages of a project. So I'll make sure I ask the students, can I share these images? And then we can talk about them. It just helps them model what is possible. So this shared folder could simply be on a public drive on the school network. I might put it in a Dropbox folder if your school has access to that. Or I might use some kind of virtual learning environment in order to make sure that I can share with all students. My third top tip is to demonstrate and show work as you go along, and you can use Photoshop to do this as well. So it's really good to be able to say to students, here's an example of some surreal work I was doing. It also allows you to zoom into areas which of course can be really helpful. You can look at the quality of the image, you can fit it on screen. So using Photoshop as a demonstration tool is really valid. My fourth top tip is to really encourage the students to be creative. Give them structure, ask for them to fulfill a criteria or a brief, but think about an open end to that brief. Let me just give you an example here. This is my demonstration purpose, and the reason I made this was really so I knew what I was doing. A very simple piece of collage where I've taken different layers and applied them in a surreal way. I'll ask them to follow a brief, but be imaginative and thoughtful, to think about how to improve on the ideas and develop their ideas themselves. Think about how they might improve on what I've done and ask them to develop something over and beyond what I've shown them. And of course, students are brilliantly creative and they respond accordingly. So my final tip for classroom success with Photoshop is to really keep it simple when you start with your collaging. This is a sort of silly but fun way to get people just starting to use some of those basic tools. And it can be this simple. This is just finding internet images or becoming more complex to make faces. Some of the images now that you're looking at are collage examples from lots of different curriculum areas and studies. So you may be able to create visuals for stories if you're doing a literacy project. Simply exploring ideas or looking at a cross-curricular event. Social commentary, film posters. You might be doing something in media studies around the genre of film posters. You could make protest images with collage, maybe in history or linking it to RE. You could also interpret well-known texts or narratives. So we've covered quite a lot of ground in terms of getting you set up and ready to start your Photoshop class. We've given you the top tips about advanced searches with Google, about the key tools you need, keeping it really simple, showing and demonstrating when you can, encouraging creativity at every turn, and really remind the students that it's okay to make mistakes. But most of all, keep it simple, plan it well, and all will be good.